What if the only clue left at a murder scene wasn't a weapon or a fingerprint, but a message, a bizarre, rambling ransom note that seemed to tell a story, but one that nobody can quite figure out? Now, imagine that note demands a very specific amount of money, $118,000. And what if that amount was the exact work bonus the victim's father had just received? When 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey was found murdered in her own home, this note should have been the thing to break the case wide open. Instead, for decades, it has been a central piece of a puzzle that has twisted the investigation into knots, creating far more questions than answers. It's a mystery written on 3 pages of notepad, and it's a major reason why this case continues to haunt a nation. Section 1. A Nightmare on Christmas. December 26, 1996. In the wealthy community of Boulder, Colorado, the Ramsey family was living what looked like the American dream. John Ramsey was a successful president of a billion-dollar computer company. His wife, Patsy, a former Miss West Virginia, and their 6-year-old daughter, JonBenét, was a charismatic child beauty queen, known for her bright smile and stage presence. But on the morning after Christmas, that dream turned into a living nightmare. Patsy Ramsey said she woke up early and, on her way down the kitchen staircase, she found it, a 2.5-page handwritten letter. The letter claimed her daughter had been kidnapped. It demanded money and warned them not to call the police. In a frantic 911 call, Patsy told the dispatcher, "We have a kidnapping. There's a note left and our daughter's gone." Section 2. The horrifying discovery. For the next 7 hours, the Ramsey home was pure chaos. Police arrived, but so did friends and family. The house, now a critical crime scene, was hopelessly contaminated. Still, everyone was focused on the note and the promised phone call from the kidnappers that would arrange the ransom exchange. That call never came. Later that afternoon, at the desperate urging of a detective, John Ramsey searched his own home one more time. In the basement, he made a discovery that changed everything. It was the body of his daughter, JonBenét. She had been strangled with a garrote and had a fractured skull. This wasn't a kidnapping. It was a murder staged to look like one. And the only real clue the killer left behind was that strange, rambling note. Section 3. Anatomy of a Lie. The ransom note in the JonBenét Ramsey case is unlike any other. Real ransom notes are usually short, direct, and to the point. They have one goal: get the money. The note in the Ramsey house was the opposite. It was incredibly long, sprawling across nearly 3 pages of a notepad that belonged to Patsy Ramsey, written with a pen found in the house. Investigators figured it would have taken the author over 20 minutes to write. A huge, almost unbelievable risk for any intruder to take inside a victim's home. The note begins, "Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction." Right away, it sets up this strained persona, one that tries to sound menacing, but uses weirdly weak language. Why would a powerful kidnapper call their group a small faction? The letter is also filled with odd misspellings like business and possession, which some linguistic experts think might have been a deliberate ploy, an attempt by an educated writer to throw investigators off the scent. The text itself is a bizarre mix of violent threats and almost polite advice. It warns that any deviation from the plan will result in JonBenét's immediate execution, and in one particularly graphic threat, says she will be beheaded. But it also advises John Ramsey to be arrested for the money delivery. These contradictions led some profilers to suggest a feminine touch, pointing to phrases like, "Don't try to grow a brain, John," which they argued is more common for women to use. Section 4. The 2 Great Riddles. 2 things make this note so uniquely baffling. The first is a demand for $118,000. For a man as wealthy as John Ramsey, it was an oddly small and specific amount. More disturbingly, it was almost identical to the Christmas bonus he had just received from his company. The second is the signature. The note ends with victory, followed by the cryptic initials S.B.T.C. What could that possibly mean? For decades, these 2 facts, the bonus amount and the signature, have been the central mysteries of one of America's most infamous cold cases. Section 5. An investigation in knots. From the moment it was found, The note became the focus of the investigation, led by the Boulder Police Department with assistance from the FBI. It was a psychological battlefield, a document that seemed built to mislead. Analysts almost immediately flagged it as a fake. It was written in the house, with materials from the house. It was far too long and dramatic for a real ransom demand. The question wasn't just who wrote it, but why they wrote it this way. The linguistic analysis created a confusing profile. The author seemed to be playing a role, borrowing lines from popular movies like Dirty Harry, Speed, and Ransom. For instance, the note says, "If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies." This is strikingly similar to the villain in Dirty Harry who warns, "If you talk to anyone, the girl dies." Another line, "Don't try to grow a brain, John," is almost a direct quote from the movie Speed. Was the writer a movie buff trying to sound like a Hollywood villain? Or just someone pulling from phrases they knew? The handwriting itself became a huge point of contention. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI, reported indications that the author of the ransom note is Patricia Ramsey. However, multiple other experts couldn't make a definitive conclusion, and some argued it was highly unlikely she wrote it. Patsy always maintained her innocence, but the conflicting analyses have kept suspicion alive for decades. And what about S.B.T.C? Theories have run wild. Some guessed it meant Saved by the Cross. Others thought it could be a reference to the Subic Bay Training Center in the Philippines, tying into the foreign faction theme. Like everything else, the signature was another dead end. Section 6, the central contradiction. The most stubborn clue has always been the ransom amount, $118,000. It was nearly the exact amount of John's bonus. This screamed that the killer had inside knowledge. An executive at John's company stated that very few people would have known that exact number. This detail remains the note's most haunting mystery. It narrows the pool of suspects to people with intimate knowledge of the Ramsey finances. Yet the profile of the writer this is exactly why the ransom note is at the heart of this baffling case. It's a document at war with itself. Every clue it offers is immediately contradicted by another. The note was written on a pad found inside the Ramsey home. That points to an insider. But the theatrical movie-inspired performance seems designed to create the image of a dangerous stranger. The demand for $118,000 suggests someone with inside knowledge. Yet the rambling, dramatic tone doesn't feel like professional with a financial motive. For every piece of evidence pointing toward the family, there's another that suggests a sophisticated, if disturbed, outsider. Conclusion, a labyrinth of words. Boulder police have reviewed thousands of tips and pieces of evidence in this case. But it always comes back to the note. It is the core of the mystery, a labyrinth of words designed to confuse. It's been analyzed by linguists, profilers, and handwriting experts for decades, and the only firm conclusion is that it's a lie. It was written to hide the truth, not to demand money. And it succeeded so well that, nearly 3 decades later, the truth of what happened to JonBenét Ramsey remains buried under its 370 confounding words. What do you think? Reading the phrases from a note, does any part of it stand out to you as particularly strange or revealing? Let me know your theories in the comments below. The murder of JonBenét Ramsey is a tragedy that has never seen justice. It's a case filled with missteps, contaminated evidence, and endless theories. But at its center is a single, haunting piece of evidence that is both the most promising clue and the greatest red herring. The note is a meticulously crafted lie, written by someone who wanted to create a performance, to send investigators down a rabbit hole of movie quotes and false identities. To this day, the author of that note has gotten away with it. John Ramsey continues to advocate for justice for his daughter, hoping that modern DNA technology will finally identify the killer. And investigators in Colorado are still actively working the case, holding out hope that those technological advances might finally provide the breakthrough they've been waiting for. But until a definitive match is made, the answer to who killed a 6-year-old girl lies somewhere in those cryptic sentences, waiting for someone to finally crack the code. Thanks for viewing. Please help this channel grow by liking and subscribing to our channel.